We are now ready for our keynote address. Steve Haffner is here with us, and Steve had a 30-year career as a software developer, systems engineer, and business analyst. Then in 2011, he chucked that career out the window to follow his calling and embark on a new career as an entertainer and mentalist. Through his mentalism training, Steve has discovered how our subconscious brains secretly influence us and our decision-making, causing us to do irrational things for reasons we don't understand until now. Please welcome Steve Haffner.
Thank you. Thank you, Mac. Good morning, everyone. Hey, I'd like you to consider something. How often do you ask yourself this important question? What was I thinking? Every day, maybe. It's a great question. In fact, I want to hear everybody say it right now. Give me a big, what was I thinking? That's awesome. I love that. But funny thing about that important question is that when we ask it like that, it's not really a question. It's more like a weapon because we're using it to beat ourselves up, right? It's more like we're saying, how could I be so stupid? I should have known better. What was I thinking? But here's the thing. We don't have to beat ourselves up, and we shouldn't, because there's a better way to ask the question. We should ask it like this. What was I thinking? See, that's better. Now, I want all you guys to all try that. You have to tilt your head a little bit, look up, and say, what was I thinking? Much better. See, now this is a question we can actually start to try to answer. And today, that's what we're going to do. We're going to try to look inside our minds, see if we can uncover what's behind some of those errors in judgment, those bad decisions we make, those what was I thinking moments. And we're going to have some fun along the way. Let me show you. I am going to need... Ma'am, could you come up and help me, please? Oh, she's excited. Let's give her a hand. That'll teach you to sit near the front, won't it? No, we'll have some fun. Could you take the microphone for me? And your name is?
Stephanie Mervine.
Stephanie, hi. Everybody say hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
And Stephanie, where are you from?
I'm from Maryland.
From Maryland. Well, welcome to Louisville. Stephanie, have you ever heard of a mentalist?
No.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know what that means. Well, one of the things as a mentalist that I do is I make predictions about my audience. And I've already made a prediction about you guys. I predict that in a few moments, you guys are going to look at me like this. That's in a minute, though. But for now, I have another prediction, and it's in this envelope. Stephanie, can you hold that envelope for me? Now, folks, I collect what was I thinking moments. Not my own. I collect the big ones, the big screw-ups, the big errors that people make the headlines, and I collect them in here, in this notebook. I've written down a whole bunch of them. Stephanie, I'll just flip a few pages, and you read them off to people.
La La Land.
Yeah, and the winner is La La Land. Yep. Remember that?
I probably need my glasses.
Oh.
New Coke.
New Coke.
Nixon taping White House meeting.
Yeah. What was he thinking? How about this one?
Tanya Harding knee-bustling strategy.
Knee-busting strategy? Yeah. What was she thinking? So I got about 50 of them in here. In a second, I'm going to give you this, Stephanie, and I'm going to have you just flip through. You won't actually look, but you're just going to flip through and stop at any page that you want. Okay? I'll trade you for that prediction and the microphone. So go ahead, just hold it like that and just flip through and then stop wherever you want. Okay, you got a place? Go ahead and open it up and see what it says. What does it say?
Ford Pinto.
The Ford Pinto. Here, I'll trade you. The Ford Pinto. Remember the exploding gas tank? Remember this prediction that I said? Sometimes I can get this pretty good. Sometimes it doesn't work. Mentalism's not 100%. However, she did pick the Ford Pinto. My prediction was...
No way.
The Ford Pinto. How about that? Let's give Stephanie a hand, shall we? Thank you, Stephanie. All right, so, I like to keep this handy because when I have my own what was I thinking moments, these make me feel not quite so bad. So, what's going on? Why are we so error prone? Why do we make these mistakes? Well, as we know, you probably have heard we only use 15 to 20% of our brains, right? Have you heard that? It's not correct. That's an error right there. In fact, psychologists will tell you we basically use all of our brain. So there's a common error. Here's another common error. Most people think that in the Bible that it says that the number of each animal or the number of each type of animal that Moses brought on the ark was, how many think it's 2? That's right, it's 0. He was playing, Moses didn't even have an ark. Yeah, there's that look, I knew it, see? I told you. Yes, so what's going on with all these errors? Well, ladies and gentlemen, your brains are being hacked. And it's an inside job. There's a conniving and deceitful little creature that lives inside of you, and it works tirelessly 24/7 trying to influence you to do what it wants. It is your inner lizard. Probably didn't even know you had one of those, did you? Well, let's look at the human brain for just a moment. The brain's made up of 3 primary areas. The first part, the neocortex, that's your big consciousness. That's where your decision making takes place. You know, the big decisions all happen there. The really important ones. Might have had to make some of those last night. All right, so further on down from the neocortex is the limbic system. This is where your emotion and social behavior is there. But the part that's most important to us today is the oldest part, millions of years old. It's the smallest part of the brain, right at the top of the brain stem. Small animals have it. They call it the reptilian brain. I simply call it the lizard brain. Lizard brain's responsible for instinct, aggression, territoriality, deciding what kind of car insurance to buy as well. But the lizard brain has one job to do, folks, and that is keep you alive so you can pass on your DNA to future generations, right? Yeah, and it does that by helping you find food, identify possible future mates. Some people get a little carried away with that part. I don't want to name any names or anything, but you know. But the part we're most concerned about today is that it tries to identify and recognize potential threats so that we can avoid them and stay safe. That's all it does. Notice what the lizard brain doesn't do. It's not concerned with making fair and wise and accurate decisions, or forging and maintaining strong, meaningful relationships, or being an effective program director or travel industry professional. Lizard brain doesn't care about any of that. No, not at all. But we do, don't we? And it's that difference between what the lizard brain wants and what we want that creates what I call virtual mind blocks. These are the impulses, the biases, the shortcuts that are created by the lizard brain in our subconscious, but we normally don't even know that they're there. But they affect our decision making and make us have a lot of those what was I thinking moments. The good news is, though, and there is good news, we can beat these mind blocks. Hooray for us. And we can do it by it just takes a small change to the way that we think, but it can have a huge impact on us and our lives. So let's go back to that Moses-Noah thing. For most of us, not this gentleman here, but most of us, our brains took a shortcut and didn't even pay attention to Moses. So what's going on? Well, this is the first conflict between what the lizard brain wants and what we want. The lizard brain wants speed. Think about this. In the wild, when the lizard brain developed, speed was very important to keep you alive. Had to make quick decisions, right? It reminds me of the 2 gentlemen that were out in the woods camping. You might have heard about them. They were standing outside of their tent and they saw way off in the distance a bear. And at that same moment, the bear looked up and saw them, and it saw lunch. So it started running after them. Well, one of the guys jumped up, and he ran into his tent. But he didn't stay there. He came back out with his running shoes, and he started lacing them up. And the other guy said, Joe, are you crazy? You can't outrun a bear. And he said, I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun you. So in the wild, yes, it's very important to have speed, but we're 21st century humans, and most of the time, we don't need speed to stay safe. What we value more than speed is accuracy. We want our decisions to be correct, accurate, and in line with our goals and values, rather than fast. So what was going on? It was your lizard brain trying to keep you from getting eaten. That's why it skipped the whole part about Moses and thought about Noah. Just a shortcut. Here's another shortcut, because you might think that was a trick question. Do you know if you read an article, you are more likely to believe that article if there's a picture of a brain with the article, an image of a brain? Yeah, there have been studies that show this. Now, it doesn't make sense. It's not rational, but your brain takes the shortcut and makes it's more believable if there's a picture of a brain there. And some unscrupulous scallywags have even taken to put an image of a brain right in their logo just to make them seem more believable. Isn't that terrible? Can you believe that? Unbelievable. I can't. Oh, yeah. So what do? We have to, 3 words, confront the lizard. When we recognize situations where the lizard brain's likely to be messing us up, we have to take a step back and use our big brains to reflect. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Another shortcut that the lizard brain takes. If we have uncertainty, it'll insert emotion into the decision to get us to act quicker. Okay? Question, how many people here are afraid of flying? A little bit nervous? Okay, it's a travel group. I figured probably not. So you don't look, okay, you don't look like this guy much. Okay, well, how about this? How many people are afraid of getting stuck next to one of these on the plane for 3 hours? Not so brave now, are we? No, that's why they serve these. Did you know that? All right, so maybe you're not afraid of that. What about afraid of walking over these? I know people like that. Afraid of walking under these? Afraid of these? What about fear of doing what I'm doing? Public speaking, right? They say that's one of the most common fears. Now, these are irrational fears, except for the baby. They're irrational because we elevate in our mind the chance something bad can happen when that chance is really very small. And irrational fears mess us up. They affect us in all kinds of ways. They affect how we run businesses. They affect how we parent. They affect how we vote. And they affect our work and our attitude towards our work as well. I learned this lesson when I was 26 years old. I was in the middle of my corporate IT career, and I had an opportunity to take a few months off. So I decided to do some volunteer work for the Christian Appalachian Project. They're a group out in eastern Kentucky, and they run some wonderful programs for kids and families and adults, the poorer section. And one of the things they do is they run summer camps for kids, for disadvantaged kids. So I wanted to work with them, and they asked if I would be a camp counselor for the first 7 weeks at Camp Shawnee out near Prestonsburg. I wanted to help them where they had the biggest need, so, I said I would do it, but frankly, I was scared to death. Because while I had never been a camp counselor before, I'd never even attended a summer camp when I was a kid, but mostly I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to relate to these kids from the mountains. These kids were poor, they were rural, they were from broken homes, many of them, sometimes abusive homes. Now, I grew up in the suburbs of Louisville, but the eastern Kentucky mountains and Louisville are quite a bit different culturally. So I have to say I was a bit apprehensive. And that first week of camp, it was tough. I got to say, it was tough. First of all, it was hotter than blue blazes. I think I inhaled approximately 3.5 cans of off. Bugs were horrible, horrible. Worst of all, they put Zach in my group. Can you believe it, Zach? Who's Zach? Zach was this little 8-year-old boy, kind of small for his age, had a buzz haircut, and he was just chock full of vim and vigor. And he was not mean-spirited at all, but he was always getting into things. He had trouble following instructions, and trouble just seemed to follow him around. You may have known somebody like this. You may have one at home. I don't know. Right? So it seemed like my whole relationship with Zach that week was me getting after him about one thing or another. Zach, would you hurry up for the 100th time? Everybody's waiting for you. Zach, would you stop fighting with Cody? Zach, how did your underwear end up in the tree? So I was afraid. That whole week I was afraid Zach was going to get in trouble. He was going to get hurt or hurt somebody else or get lost. And I would be responsible for that. And you know what? I resented Zach for making me feel that way. So, I had enough to worry about already. So it was a tough week. So when that Friday came, it was the last day for this group of kids, I was relieved. So everyone had packed up. They were waiting for the bus to come up the mountain and take them back home to their families. Everyone was saying their goodbyes, and I noticed off in the distance there was Zach, and he was looking around with a look of concern on his face. And when his eyes caught mine, his eyes lit up, and he ran over to me. And then Zach dropped his duffel bag, and Zach, difficult, high-maintenance Zach, who I figured hated me because I had spent the whole week just getting on his case, Zach wrapped his arms around me and gave me the biggest, longest, tightest hug you can imagine. Now, I've had a lot of hugs in my 54 years, I'm happy to say, but this is one I will always remember. Because not only was it a big surprise, but when Zach hugged me, he said to me in his little Eastern Kentucky accent, he said, "Steve, you're the best friend I ever had." Wow, right? It took me a while to process that, a couple days actually, and when I did, I was mad. I wasn't mad at Zach, I was angry with myself because I had spent that whole week in irrational fear, and I was so totally blinded to the awesome relationship I was forming with Zach and with these other kids. And so I vowed right then and there I was not going to let my fears overwhelm me for the next 6 weeks with those next 6 groups of kids. And I didn't, and I had a lot of wonderful moments with those beautiful children who desperately needed a positive influence in their life, and I realized, hey, I can be this positive influence. So I want to ask you guys, think about this. Think about your work and think about your worries or your fears. And I want you to think about what kind of fears may be irrational. Some of them are founded, but think about, get a fear locked in your head. Okay, a little exercise here. If you have trouble coming up with one, these are actually the 7 most common workplace fears, according to CIO magazine. Underperformance, rejection, confrontation, embarrassment, uncertainty, failure, and isolation. So I'd like everybody to get one of those fears locked in their head. Do you have one locked in? Don't tell me what it is. Do you have one? Could you come up here for me, Monica? Let's give Monica a hand, please. And where are you from, Monica?
Abingdon, Virginia.
Abington, Virginia?
Abingdon.
Abingdon with a D, all right.
It's in the southwest corner of Virginia in the Appalachian Mountains.
Good to know, Appalachian Mountains. Great. I have a piece of paper here, and I'm going to have you write down your fear. Don't tell anybody what it is. I've got a line right there. So just like I printed fear there, I want you to print your fear right there, and then fold it back in half when you're finished, okay? Thank you. Now, everyone else, do you have that fear in your mind? So here's what you do. You have named your fear. You can tame your brain by naming your fear, because by doing that, you've kicked it up from the lizard brain to the big brain. And then we're going to do a little destroying of these fears. If you finish, okay, very good. All right, so can't see through this. In fact, I'm going to fold it in half again. So what you can do is you write down your fear when you're feeling that fear start to overcome you, and then you destroy it. Okay, you can tear it up. You can take a pen and just rip it up if you want, or write over it, or whatever you want to do. You can burn it if you want. You just destroy it. All right, Monica, I want you to hold out your hand like that, and just hold on to these. Hold on tight. So once you've destroyed it, you have symbolically gotten rid of that fear. And at least you have put it into your brain. Monica, one of the things I do as a mentalist is I like to try to feel what other people are feeling. I want you to imagine feeling whatever that fear is that you just thought about, okay? Now, you haven't told anybody. All you did was write it down, fold it up, rip it up. Think of that fear. Okay, we'll try this. This is fun to try. Again, I'm not sure. I don't always get it 100%. I have a pretty good track record. Monica, what is your fear?
Embarrassment.
Embarrassment?
Yes.
Shut the front door. Embarrassment. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. You can go on back. Thank you, Monica. All right, so one of the things we're going to do in a minute is a little role playing, and I'm going to play the part of the lizard brain, but I have to address other irrational emotions, because irrational emotions don't always have to be fear, and I'm going to point you to a famous scene, of a familiar scene from an American movie classic starring this beloved Hollywood legend. Jim Carrey as Lloyd from Dumb and Dumber. Now, you might remember this scene. Lloyd had met the woman of his dreams, and he was inquiring about what their odds were they'd end up together. Her response, not good, she said. He said, not good as in 1 out of 100? She said, more like 1 out of 1,000,000. So he thought for a second, he said, oh, so you're telling me there's a chance. Yeah, woo, all right. His lizard brain was killing it, right? Because she said he had no chance, and he ballooned it up and got all excited, but that was a bad idea, folks, because that set him up for some big disappointment later. Oh, my mentalism powers just kicked in. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Steve, that Lloyd's fictional. Real people, we are not that delusional. We would never create false hope out of impossible odds, right? Of course not. Of course not. Let's take a look at the lottery for a moment, shall we? We know the odds against winning, say, the Powerball are ludicrously high against us, right? 1 in 292 million are the odds against winning the Powerball. In fact, it's twice as hard to win now as it was just 10 years ago. Why is that? Because they tweak the game. Every 3 to 4 years, they tweak the numbering to make it harder to win. And why would they do that? They know how the lizard brain works. They know we don't pay attention to the odds. We know they're bad, but they don't advertise them. But there is a number we do pay attention to, the jackpot, right? And the worse the odds are, the higher the jackpot goes. And that gets us very excited. This is due to a brain chemical called dopamine. And dopamine is very powerful, plays a huge part in drug addiction. We know what a problem that is in this country. So dopamine tickles the pleasure center of the lizard brain. Okay, so a little review. Here's your lizard, and here's dopamine. And this is your lizard on dopamine. That's why when the jackpot gets into $750 million, something like that, like it did not too long ago, you get that little ping in your mind says, wow, that's a lot of money. I need to play the lottery. And so you buy your tickets, you lose, of course, and then you end up asking yourself, what was I thinking, right? So we need to confront the lizard. When you fear irrational emotions taking over, you need to confront the lizard so that you can avoid them. At least avoid their effect on your decision making. All right, I'm going to play the part of the lizard brain. We're going to do a little experiment in influence. I need to find somebody who's intelligent looking. Mac, can you help me find one? Yeah. Just kidding. I'm kidding. You're perfect. Very intelligent looking, Mac. Can you hold on to that?
Sure.
Don't open them up. Just hold on to those. And I'm going to use these three lovely women right here. Could you guys stand up? You don't have to come up, but just stand here, and you can hold on to that one. So your name is Nicole?
Yes.
And where are you from, Nicole?
I am from Boston, Massachusetts.
Boston.
Rough morning.
I was going to say, sorry for your luck. Philadelphia is not that far, though.
Yeah.
Nicole, I'm going to try to influence you without you feeling it, all right? And to do that, we're going to use this list of celebrities. Okay, inside the envelope is a picture of one of these celebrities. All right, so you're going to select one, and I'm going to try to influence you to pick the person who's inside.
Okay.
I've got people like Taylor Swift, LeBron James, Tom Hanks, Lady Gaga, all kinds of people. But I'm not going to let you pick the name, because you'll probably just pick somebody you like. I can't overcome that influence. But we can do it like this. I can move down the list, and you say stop whenever you want. And maybe I can influence you that way. You won't feel it, though. Make it feel like a free choice. I'm going to move down, say stop whenever you want. And you can't change your mind. You ready? Here we go.
Stop.
The first one?
Yeah.
Do you want to change your mind?
No.
Okay. All right. Can you read from there who you got?
No, I'm
Can you guys...
blind.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Brad Pitt.
Brad
Good choice.
Pitt. They are all
choice.
different, right, Nicole? You can tell all of them
Yep.
are different. She got Brad Pitt. Remember that, Brad Pitt. Mac, could you come up here with that deck of cards, please? Nicole, hand that microphone to the next person. What's your name?
Robin.
Hi, Robin.
Hi.
Robin, I want you to think of a suit of a playing card, okay? Clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds. Women usually go for hearts, sometimes diamonds. Men will go for spades. You can go for anyone you want. Just lock it in your head. Hand the microphone over. And, ma'am, what's your name?
Nadine.
Nadine. Hi, Nadine.
Hi.
Nadine, you familiar with playing cards? So you're not? Could you hand the microphone to the next woman, please? Sorry about that, Nadine.
Yes.
Martha, awesome. Martha, I want you to think of a value of a playing card. 2 through 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace. Women usually use Queen. Men will pick Ace, but you can use any. You can use any number. You can use 2. You can use 6. Probably not 3. I don't like 3. No, you can use 3 if you want. You can use any one you want. Don't let me influence you. All right, right over here, Mac. I tried to influence you guys to pick a specific card that I marked in this deck. I marked it by turning it upside down in the deck. Robin, what suit are you thinking of?
Diamond.
Diamond. What value?
9.
9 of diamonds. So they came up with one card. You know how many cards are in a deck, right? How many?
52.
52. They picked the 9 of diamonds. One card out of 52 I turned over. I tried to get them to pick the card that I turned over. Can you show everybody the card? It's the 9 of diamonds. How about that? Awesome. Thank you, Matt. Stay right up here with me for a second. Because as we said, we had a celebrity selected, and you picked, who was it?
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt. Did she pick the person whose picture's inside the envelope? Ladies and gentlemen, Brad Pitt! What? She could have stopped me on LeBron James, right? That's all I'm saying, Mac. That's all I'm saying. Oh, they're skeptical. Maybe I should have shown them the more recent picture on the inside. All right. Can we give all my helpers a hand? Could you get the microphone for me out from the... Thank you, Mac. All right, so that was just kind of a metaphor, but one other thing I want to tell you about how the lizard brain influences us. How many people remember the last time you got burned in a business transaction? Something bad happened, somebody didn't follow through. You remember those situations. You looked bad. Remember those? Fact of the matter is, we have a lot more awesome, positive, successful experiences and relationships, but it's those negative ones we remember. And there's another difference between what the lizard brain wants and what we want, because the lizard brain wants to focus on the negative, while we would rather have a positive outlook. Lizard brain does this because it wants to see everything as a threat so that we can avoid them. But this is where it's vitally important to confront the lizard. When you feel that poke of a negative thought or a negative impulse, this is where you need to turn that around, kick it up to your big brain, and focus on positivity. You need to imagine a positive outcome. You need to envision success and what success looks like. For example, you need to envision how the Select Traveler Conference is going to be awesome for you and for your business. Because when we do that, then we are much more likely to be able to achieve that success that we want. Boom. All right, so what it all comes down to, folks? George Carlin. George Carlin, yeah. Hold that thought for just a minute. Sir, I have a question for you. What's your name? Nick. Nick, I want you to come up with a 2-digit number for me, and don't say it, but it's got to be between 30 and 60. Bigger than 30, less than 60, and I want you to just write it down there. Try not to let any of these people see what it is, and fold it in half twice when you're finished, okay? George Carlin, the late comedian, his mantra, question everything, right? He meant question the government, question authority, question the police, question big business. And that's fine. We should question things that come to us from the outside, but we need to take it a little bit further. All right. So did you do that, Nick? You wrote it down? Has anybody seen it? Nope. Okay, I'll take the paper. We're going to further seal it up and keep it safe from prying eyes. And I want you to we'll push that in there. I want you to peel that off, and then you can sit down and hold on to that. I'll take the pen back for you. So George Carlin doesn't take this quite far enough, because what we also need to do is we need to question what comes to us from the inside. We need to confront the lizard. When you have the situations where you're likely to be influenced by the lizard brain, take a moment. If you've got a strong emotional tie to a decision, for example, take a moment, confront the lizard, and let your big brain make the good decision. I have cards out there for everyone. At the top, I've got some of the situations where you're likely to encounter the lizard brain. And we've only touched the surface. So at the bottom part, there's more ways you can become aware of lizard brain, invisible and virtual mind blocks. So if you text me or go to my website, you can sign up for my newsletter. Once every 3 weeks, I shoot one out to you. And you can become a little smarter about what your subconscious mind is doing to you. All right. Nick, could you come up here, please? All right. Nick, right on this side, please. Nick, do you remember what your number is? Yes. All right. I want you to concentrate on the number. This takes about 30 seconds. I've got a grid here, and I need you to concentrate, think on your number. Ready, go. Okay. Open your mind a little more, Nick. Can you open it more, you know? A little more. All right. Not sure how this will go. I'm going to trade you this marker for your envelope. Okay. Take that. And I want you to take this. You remember your number. I want you to write it really big on there so everybody can see it. I will confirm it here. And 54. 54? All right. Hold 54. Hold that out so everyone can see it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll take the marker. I'm going to end with a verse. And before I do, I just want to say thanks. Thanks for sharing your morning with me. And I hope you guys have an awesome conference. You guys have been a lot of fun. And hope to see you again soon. Come see me afterwards. I'd love to talk with any of you, or if you didn't get a card, share that with you. Nick, your task at hand was concentration. My task was recognition. And now our task is a mind trip through improbable addition. Because 4 and 25 is 29, and 10 is 39, and 15 is 54. Aha, your minds are waking up and filling with suspicion. My numbers couldn't add up to his, so says your intuition. But 11 and 14 is 25, and 5 is 30, and 24 is 54. When faced with the impossible, your lizard starts to squawk, creates a hidden barrier, a virtual mind block. 26 and 7 is 33, and 12 is 45, and 9 is 54. 13 and 8 is 21, and 27 is 48, and 6 is 54. Always remember, folks, what it is your bigger brain can do. Confront that little lizard brain and... Oh, Nick, this column adds up too. 11 and 4 is 15, and 26 is 41, and 13 is 54. 14 and 25 is 39, and 7 is 46, and 8 is 54. 10 and 5 is 15, and 12 is 27, and 27 is 54. 24 and 15 is 39, and 9 is 48, and 6 is 54. You won't let hidden biases determine how you act. No, you will conquer every mind block by evaluating facts. Like the fact that 24 and 10 is 34, and 7 is 41, and 13 is 54. 11 and 25 is 36, and 12 is 48, and 6 is 54. You will reconsider, you will deconstruct, you will slay each fallacy, and you will not allow your lizard to form the person that you will be, 54. And then your decisions, your goals, and your values will be hooking up and linking. Because then you'll no longer have to ask, what was I thinking? 54, thank you, Nick. Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a great conference.